Joining me now is Travis Brown, the writer and director of a brand new docuseries, Uncomfortable Truths, the reality of gender identity ideology.
Since 2017, the number of youth who identify as transgender has nearly doubled.
You can't tell what your gender is by looking at your body. Gender is something you feel on the inside. When you were little, did you feel like you were trapped in the wrong body?
Yeah. Admiral Rachel Levine is a groundbreaking leader, public health champion, and an advocate.
Fox, deliver the knees, and that's it. Fellas, Fox.
That was sweet, huh? Did you like that? Every woman in this tournament better look out. I'm freaking coming.
The documentary series will be available for streaming on X and YouTube later this month. Travis, thanks for your time. Tell me what compelled you to make this series.
Well, I started reading about what was happening in particular with kids and also around women's spaces and men entering into women's prisons and that sort of thing. But my primary concern was what I was learning, what was going on with kids, primarily from reading Abigail Shrier's book, and then more recently, Helen Joyce's book, Trans. And I just thought, I have to cover this topic. I mean, this is like a new weird religious cult that's overtaken society, and we need to put a stop to it.
Now, often have people ask me, how did we get here? How did it get so crazy? How did this lunacy take hold? And you mentioned Helen Joyce there, and you interview her for this series, and she had this interesting take.
I think one of the reasons that all of this has got so far is that it's so crazy it doesn't sound like anyone could possibly think it. So when I started saying to people, that actually they are telling children that sex is a spectrum. They're telling 4-, 5-, 6-year-olds that they were assigned a sex at birth, but that was just a guess that the medical professionals guessed, and they're waiting for that child to tell us whether they're male or female. People would think like she has to be exaggerating, she's misunderstood something. They're not really saying that.
Why did this movement become so powerful? They have had disproportionate power and influence in the culture, in laws, in sport, in just about every facet of life in the West, despite the fact that really they represent the views of such a tiny minority. Even when you look at the activists who are really quite powerful in that area, it's hard to ascertain where their power comes from.
Sure. Yeah, I think there's a complex history in terms of what laid the foundation for all this to build up. But I think there are two primary factors that allowed it to take off. One of which is that a lot of people were on, as they like to say, the wrong side of history when it came to, gay marriage and that sort of thing. So a lot of people just see this as the new rights frontier. Helen Joyce has talked a lot about this as well, and many other people that I interviewed. But that's one of the reasons people want to be on the right side of history. And so they want to be forward thinking, and they think, oh, well, if you can be, born gay or lesbian, well, then clearly you can be born in the wrong body, regardless of how absurd that sounds and how ridiculous it is. That's one reason people want to be a part of this new rights frontier. The other reason, in my opinion, is that as religious affiliation has declined so drastically, especially in the last 20 or 30 years, I think people are wanting to fill that void and have a sense of meaning, both the people that are participating in the ideology and pushing it, as well as a lot of these kids that are kind of lost and want to sort of transcend their bodies by finding a new body and a new identity. I think that plays into it as well.
Now, one of the most sinister aspects of this ideology is the medical interventions performed on youngsters, often very confused youngsters, and the manner in which activist doctors have really dominated the narrative.
So what we do know is that adolescents actually have the capacity to make a reasoned, logical decision. And here's the other thing about chest surgery. If you want breasts at a later point in your life, you can go and get them.
This is the most careful and thoughtful type of medicine I have ever practiced.
I think that what's horrifying is that there are a lot of people now raising a concern around whether this is the right treatment for children. I'm not saying it might not be the right decision for adults, but the people who raise concerns are deemed as bigots or transphobes.
Travis, that first doctor we heard from there, just mind-blowing to me that she could say that out loud. I mean, what does it matter if you remove the healthy breasts of some confused girl? She can just get implants later if she changes her mind. The cavalier attitude they have with children's bodies is astonishing and disturbing.
Truly, yeah. That Dr. Kennedy Olson is one of the worst. She operates out of California and has tried to bury some documents just showing how terrible this stuff is. And she's been at the forefront, for quite a while at this sort of thing. And yeah, it kind of blows your mind to think about people, how callous and indifferent and ridiculous these people can be.
It really is, and I encourage everybody to watch this documentary. It comes out later this month on the 22nd of February. Travis Brown, thank you so much for your time this evening.